Okay, everybody, we're gonna restart recording because I had to record myself. We're gonna restart. So, again, we're gonna be talking about a whole bunch of different things just to remind us what I just said because I totally just forgot. So we're gonna remind ourselves what we just said. So we're gonna be talking about timeline, text structure, chronological order, sequence. We're gonna have evidence. We're gonna read a story. We're gonna read information about new people, about myself, about a lot of different things. So let's get started again. So our kind of lesson today is how does the timeline contribute or add new information to the story? Parker, can you put that away, please? Thank you very much. So I put contribute or add just in case you see it on a test or an assignment or something. You know that the word contribute means add. Okay? So we're gonna see how the timeline adds information to our story or contributes to it. So, and these are our learning targets, what we're gonna be able to do at the end of the lesson or during the lesson. So we're gonna be able to explain how a timeline contributes. Raise your hand, what does contribute mean? Add, very good. Can explain how a timeline contributes to the meaning of a text. So what kind of information gives from our timeline adds to our story. Explain how relevant details in a timeline support the central idea of a text. We've been doing that forever. How details support our main idea, right? We're doing that for a very long time. And if we get time to it, or if we do it, we're gonna share your ideas with your friends. Or maybe if you do the last part, we'll share with what we have with our friends. So we're gonna talk about what are we talking about? Oh my goodness, these are such hard things we gotta think. So we're gonna talk about text structure. So text structure is how the story is made. And Miss Cheney even has the text structure. Everybody know that text structure poster up there, the big green one? You go point to it.
Compare and contrast.
Yes, right here. We even have a little sheet right here. We have a text structure poster. And today we're going to be talking about sequence. Does anybody know another word for sequence? Raise your hand. Does anybody know another word for sequence? Sequence.
Order.
What kind of order? What kind of order?
Like it goes first, second.
Okay, but it starts with a C.
It's on the very top, climax.
Nope. That's the that's something else. I'm gonna give it to you. Chronological order. Can everybody say that?
Chronological order.
So that's a really big word. So sequence, chronological. It's the same thing. They just make it the same. I don't know why they make it the same. They just make it the same. So chronological, sequence, same exact thing. And I even put a little cheat code here. What does chronological mean? Well, I know that the prefix chrono means time. And logical means it makes sense because it's an order. So if something's chrono, time, logical, that means it makes sense because it's an order. So time, order, chronological order, time and order makes sense, right? So it's the same thing as sequence. What's another word for sequence? Raise your hand. What's another word for sequence? Chronological order. Say it one more time.
Chronological order.
Okay, and it's the same as?
Sequence.
Sequence, very good. So, and then a timeline. Anybody know what a timeline does?
It goes back to the future.
That's a movie.
So it starts as like if you were saying how timeline about yourself, it'd be like you were born
Yes.
at the time and then you would grow up in writing.
Yeah, so timelines are in what order? Which text structure is timeline in?
Starts with the C.
Who can help him out? Chloe, what kind of text structure is chronological?
Chronological order. Sequence.
Or?
Chronological.
Very good.
That's what I said.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay, so sequence, chronological order. She said if you were born, you went to elementary school, then you went to middle school, then you went to high school, and so on. Right, and that's chronological order. So, we're gonna be looking at our story. Do you guys remember the story about Rosa Parks, Cesar Chavez? Do you guys remember the timeline in there?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna be reading that again, and since we already read it, it's really, it's like 3 paragraphs. I don't want our booklets out, so this story, I think we can get it to just read it to us. Or I'm just gonna read it to everybody.
Sure
So,
that.
Thank you very much. All right, so it says, Rosa Parks is my right to say. Anyway, who in the world is, can anybody tell me who Rosa Parks is? Let's see. Who can remind me who Rosa Parks is? I have no idea. I really have no idea. Anne-Marie, who is Rosa Parks?
Anne-Marie, you get to sing this. No.
No, I'm asking her a question. Thank you, though. Emery, who's Rosa Parks? Do you remember?
She's the woman who refused to give up her seat.
She's the lady who forget. Why? That was very good. She forgot. What did you just say? Refused. Sorry, I was trying to use good vocabulary. She refused to give up her seat. Why did she forget to? Why did she refuse? What's the big deal? Why can't she? I don't have to give up my seat if I don't want to. Annabelle, why did she have to give it up? Why did she have to give it up?
Because she wanted to stand up for herself and she was like done.
Yeah, great job. We're gonna get to that. Yes, very good. Yes. So, but why was she done? What was that law? Was there a law or something?
Yeah.
Addison, what was the law? Some people had to give up their seats. Yeah, some people had to give up their seats to other people.
And if there was no more seats left in the white list on,
Then they had to get off the bus.
then
Yeah, very good. So they had to get off the bus, right? Okay, so thanks for reminding me. I totally forgot. Like I didn't remember. Thank God. Thank goodness I have you guys.
But also the laws were Jim Crow laws.
We're learning out, right? Yes.
That whites and African Americans couldn't drink out of the same water fountain.
Yes, very good. We're gonna get to that in a second. All right, so we're just gonna read this little, like 2 paragraphs while I was with you guys. So it says after. Let me see if I can get this to read this.
After the Civil War, Jim Crow laws kept African Americans from enjoying all their rights.
That's what we said. We said that some people couldn't enjoy their rights like other people, right?
Public places were often segregated.
Anybody know what that word segregated means? Raise your hand. Let me get our stick. Bentley?
Segregated is me.
We separate. Segregate means separate.
For example, at the movies, whites could sit downstairs. African Americans had to sit in the balcony. African Americans could not swim in the same pools or go to the same schools as whites. In many places, African Americans were also kept from voting.
Awesome. So we just learned, right? What did we learn right here? Mike, what did we just learn right here?
You learn right here that
Right, yes, okay. Parker, what else did we learn here?
what's the question?
What else did we learn here?
That they can't, white people have to swim in their own pool, brown people swim in their own.
Yeah, so we have some people in their own pool, we have some people at their own. We have separating people. That's our main idea
Rosa
right there.
Parks, an African American, twice tried to register to vote in Alabama. She had the right to vote, but was turned down both
Thanks for paying attention to the
times.
story.
Together with many others,
Go ahead.
Rosa Parks worked to change Jim Crow and other unfair
Can you
laws.
see Mike?
Rosa Parks was arrested for not giving up parks.
Oops.
On,
Yep, there we go.
on December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks boarded a city bus in Montgomery, Alabama.
Here's our important part right
She
here.
was going home from work. The first seats of the bus were for white passengers only. Rosa Parks sat behind those seats in a seat for African Americans. Soon the bus
So she was sitting in a spot she wasn't supposed to be sitting, right?
No, she was sitting in a spot that she was supposed to do.
But then somebody,
Sitting behind the whites, but then somebody got on the bus and
yes,
said that it was full, she had to
Yes.
give up her seat.
that's what I mean. You're just so smart.
was full. A white man got on. The bus driver told Rosa Parks to give her seat to the man. She politely refused to move. So the bus driver called the police. Rosa
There's our
Parks
picture.
let herself be arrested because she wanted to show people how unfair Jim Crow laws were. People thought it was unfair that Parks was arrested,
Jen.
so they protested against the bus company. The protest went on for 13 months. As a result, the laws were changed. At the jail, a police officer
Right, you. Alright, so we just learned that she didn't give up her seat and then she went to jail. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that in a second. We're gonna keep going. Last paragraph.
Alabama, 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 Alabama.
Alright, lady, Alabama. That's her favorite word.
Alabama, Alabama.
Alright, well, I guess Alabama's gonna have to be read. Anyways, so it says in her autobiography, which is a type of book, Parks wrote, I had no idea when I refused to give up my seat on that Montgomery bus that my small action would help put an end to segregation laws in the South. I only knew that I was tired of being pushed around. I was a regular person, just as good as anybody else. I think you said that, right? This last part? Yeah, this is the important part. That's why I said to wait. All right, so, let me go back to here. We did Rosa Parks. We did why Rosa Parks is famous in history, right? Did we talk about why Rosa Parks was famous?
No.
Who can tell me, why is Rosa Parks famous? Let me see. Bailey, why is Rosa Parks famous? You kind of just read about it? Where are you, Bailey? There you are. Why is Rosa Parks famous in history? Let's see who can help her out. Jagger, can you help your friend Bailey out, please?
What was the question?
Why is Rosa Parks famous?
Because she gave up her seat and refused to move.
Yeah, and she kind of did what she did with those. What'd she do with that?
She protested.
Okay, yeah. So she gave up her seat. Great job. What did Michael? What does that matter? She didn't give up her seat. What does it matter? Yeah.
To show how unfair the country.
Wait, we don't blow it out. We have to wait for Michael's turn. What did it change?
The law.
The law. So that's why she's important. So I'm not gonna my seat right here. Too bad. So sad. No, the law is that you had to give up your seat if someone said give up your seat. So what was kind of the main central idea of that little passage that we just read? Let's see who can help us out. What is the central idea, Wesley,
A central idea
of the story we just read?
was when Rosa Parks was sitting there, and when a white person came on the bus, she didn't want to move up her seat, so got arrested, and she didn't care.
And she didn't care, and so she changed the laws. That's the main idea. That was very good, main idea. So we had some dates, and we had, what is this called? I forgot the word. What is this? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. What is this called? Wait. What is this? What is this? Orange. Wait. Raise your hand. 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 Who didn't pick on yet? Go ahead. A timeline. Oh my goodness! I told you guys just make me remember. You guys are so good at this. A timeline, and we have dates, and our story was kind of in order, right? What kind of text structure is that? Anybody can tell me? Can anybody look at the poster and maybe tell me? That's why we have a little poster there, like a little cheat code over there. Let me see. Let's see. I just forget these things. Elizabeth, what is that? What is that called? Where are you, Elizabeth? There you are. There you are. Look right at you. What kind of text structure is our story? If it's in order, it's in sequence. Good job, sequence.
So it's also called chronological.
Ah, too good. You got me. Right before I got the question. Too good. Chronological order and sequence. Very good. Look at the poster. So if there's a question on your test or on your assignment, on your homework, and your friend's asking you, what is a text structure? And you're like, I don't even know what text structure is. I forgot. There's the text structure poster right there, everybody. It's big letters for a big reason. Text structure. Right there. Cause and effect, compare and contrast, problem solution. Today we're doing sequence. And what's that word? Who can help me out? What's that word? Everybody, what's that word? Oh my goodness. I just forget so many times. You guys are just so good at reminding me. Awesome. So let's look. So Rosa Parks, it just kind of said that she just went on a bus. So she was in kindergarten and just went on the bus?
No.
It didn't start. So let's see what kind of new information. What is that word? What's that word contribute? What does that word mean? Raise your hand. What does that word contribute mean? Contribute. Remember I had it up here? What does that word contribute mean? Let's see who can help me out. Contribute. Emma, what does that word contribute mean? Can everybody help her out? Contribute. Mason, contribute. All right, thank you guys for trying. At least you're not just trying. Okay, go ahead. Add, yes. So you guys are so good at remembering. Let's see what kind of information this timeline adds to our story. So it says right here, oh my goodness, there we go. She was born in 1913. That makes a lot of sense that she didn't just wake up one day when she was born out of her mommy's tummy and go on the bus. That makes a lot of sense. So that is telling me how she got started. Right here, she was born. Okay, and then right here, Mary's Raymond Park. So that, what kind of information? That doesn't really make sense. But if you look at the time, this is 1913, that was a very long time ago. 1913. And you look at 1932. That's almost 20 years. So this kind of lets me know, this contributes, this information contributes to the story, Parker,
My dad was alive.
that she is now an adult. That makes a lot more sense than when she was in kindergarten, she went on a bus. So now it's telling me it contributed to our story, saying that she's an adult. That makes a lot more sense. Oh, here's a really good one. She joins NAACP and eventually becomes field secretary in Montgomery, Alabama. Does anybody know what NAACP is, stands for, anything about it? Layla, what is...
Layla.
Layla, where are you? There you are. So many faces. What is NAACP? Do you remember? Does anybody remember?
He wasn't here, that's why.
Oh, I'm sorry. Charles?
Hello.
Hi. What's NAACP? What's NAACP?
I know that.
Does anybody know, Parker?
So I don't know what it means, but it's in my thing, and I circled it when I was reading it with Mason yesterday.
Okay, great. So I don't want to get into too much detail, but NAACP kind of helps people get their rights. You know how we have separation of people based on your color, your shirt? Nope. It's just, so it helps people get equal rights. So you know how that some people couldn't be on the bus and some people had to be on another bus? Some people had to drink, some people had to go to the upstairs, some people had to go to the downstairs in the movie theater? Yeah, so that kind of help the that's a group that kind of helps everyone have the same rights. That everyone can go upstairs, everyone can go downstairs. Okay, so that kind of tells me how she got into. She wanted to change these laws, right? Because this group right here helps change the laws of this segregation, helps put people together instead of separating them. So that kind of adds to our story, saying, oh, that's why she wanted to make a change, because she's part of this NAACP group, which helps people have their rights together. That's really good. And then right here, she refuses 1955, so about 12 years later. That's a really long time. So she must have been working really, really hard in this NAACP to be, they probably said, hey, why don't you go make an action? Why don't you go change, because you're so good. She refuses to move to the back of the bus, which leads to the boycott of the buses. So that makes a lot of sense. It tells us in our story right here in 1955, which is like, she's like 42 right there, so she's kind of old.
42.
She's right here, 42. That's still kind of young.
Still alive.
Which,
No.
so,
No.
we don't blur it out, remember? Okay, so she's at the bus, and then she does her little action. She doesn't give up her seat. She gets arrested because she wants to make a change. Next year, look at this. What does it say? Montgomery public transportation system is legally integrated. So that means the rules are changed. She did this action in 1955 in December. That's the end of the year. So almost. So
December.
quiet you. So a little bit more than a year and 20 days. That's not a long time for the rules to be changed. A really big rule. That's a really big rule. So that kind of helps. This timeline kind of makes it easier to understand the story, because it tells me that she was born, and then she got older and older. Oh, and she joined this group, and then she refused to move her bus, so she takes action. Jagger, that problem. See me problem. I can't have you sit there. Okay, and then the rules are changed, and then she was awarded because she changed the rules, and then she dies.
That was really hard.
Yeah, but she was awarded because she did the rule. She did the law. She didn't give up her seat. So this kind of also helps me understand, Jagger. Jagger, can you come sit here, please? Jagger, can you sit here? Thank you. So this really helps me understand the story a lot better, because it adds a lot of information. It adds the fact. Wesley, can you come sit up? If you have a problem, come sit here. Thank you. So it helps me understand because she's born, and then it helps me understand because she is going to become an adult. Then she joins the group, and then she does the action of the bus, and then she gets the rules changed. Okay, so that is how the information in this story, the timeline, contributes information to our story. And isn't that our kind of learning target right here? Explain how a timeline contributes to the meaning of a text.
Yeah.
Didn't I just do that? So how does the timeline contribute or add new information to the story? Didn't I just explain how the timeline, Jagger, adds information? Did I do that? Give me a thumbs up if I did that. Okay. Do you think we could do that one? You want to do one together? Yeah? Okay. Let's do one together. Let's see.
Mr. Levitt, I have a
Yes.
question.
Sure.
When we read the story last week about Rosa Parks, and we were reading the text, the paragraphs, was the information that was on this timeline in the text, or is this new information that is on the timeline? Think before shouting out. Think. No shouting out. We want to raise our hands. Think about what we read last week, what information we learned, and now think of the information, Jagger, that was presented on the timeline. Are they different or the same? Michael.
It's the same as.
Okay, so if we were to look in the text, would we see a birth date of Rosa Parks in the text?
No.
So are you saying that the timeline is adding new information?
Yes.
So if you wanted to know when Rosa Parks was born and you just read the text, Michael said you wouldn't get that information. You learned new information in the timeline. So my question to you is it important to read the text features?
Yes.
Is it important to read the caption?
Yes.
Is it important to read the timelines?
Yes.
Yes. So the timeline is contributing, which is adding new information to the text so that you can learn even deeper and have a deeper understanding of Rosa Parks than just what the text presents you with. Good job, guys.
I totally forgot to ask a question, you guys. Can anybody tell me, I'm going to read this paragraph again. I want to see what kind of information helps me also understand the fact why she did this. Because she said it before. I want to see if I remember what she said. I'm going to read this again. In her autobiography, Parks wrote, "I had no idea when I refused to give up my seat on that Montgomery bus that my small action would help put an end to the segregation laws in the South. I only knew that I was tired of being pushed around. I was a regular person just as good as anybody else." Does anybody see in the text, Emery? Anybody see in the text where I can also find some information of why she did this action of the bus? Anybody see? Look, I'm gonna get a name on the second. Tell me, look and see. Let me see. Who's got it? Read the story. I just read it again. Which sentence, which detail kind of helps you understand why she did the action of the bus? Alex? Right there. Thank you. That's my name. Alex? You see it in the story anywhere? Towards the bottom of the paragraph? Let's have Miss Cheney. Miss Cheney, help us.
What's that?
No, your stick is in there.
Oh.
Miss Cheney.
I've got an answer.
What?
Let's see if anyone can guess Miss Cheney's answer. Albert, let's see if you can guess Miss Cheney's answer.
About when they said like.
About which detail in the story helps you understand why she did the bus thing?
Because she's not an ordinary person, like what they said.
Anybody see this sentence right here?
Wait, I see.
You see it?
The
It does not say that. And then I'm talking about detail in the text. Right? I'm gonna say, I think it's right here. I was tired of being pushed around. So she was tired of saying, I can't sit on the bus anymore. I can't sit where I want. I'm gonna make a change. So that's how the details in the story really also added to the timeline.
Is it able to enlarge the screen
Maybe.
so you can see the text better?
No, you can just use your thing.
There it
There we go. That's way better.
That's better.
All right. I'm gonna go back to regular so we can go back here. But when we get another text, that's a good idea. Okay. I'm sorry. All right. So now let's do one together because I think we're really, really good. Let's do one together. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. What was the text structure of that story again? I forgot. What is that? Raise your hand. What is that? Emma, what's the text structure of the story we just read? Can you try? Emery? Mason? How about Emma, please? What's the text structure of the story? Mason.
Mason's right here.
The text structure that. She was brave enough to refuse to give.
Wait, what's the text structure?
Text structure mention.
It's right behind you.
Compare contrast, problem
Sequence.
Sequence. Bentley, what's another word for that sequence?
I forgot. Critical.
Which? Go ahead, Bentley. Almost. Annabelle? Remember the word time. What is that word time? Addison, help her out. Nice try though. At least you're doing the sounds.
I tried. Dragon.
Mike? What's the text structure? Not sequence, it's
Isabella.
Leslie? What's the text structure? Not sequence.
It doesn't say
Chronological order. Everybody again?
chronological order.
Thank you. Okay, great. So, we are going to now read this paragraph. You guys are going to read it together. I'm going to zoom it in. Look at me when you're ready. Great job. So, you guys are going to, this is very short. I just got a story about, anybody know who Thomas Edison is? If I did this, does anybody know who Thomas Edison is?
I heard about him.
Richard, we're going to do this.
He's the one who invented electricity.
Bailey? Sorry, Bailey, there you are. Thomas Edison. What did I just play with? Okay, so what did he invent?
Electricity.
Great, no, he didn't invent electricity. Silly goose.
He invented daytime.
The rules are don't blur it out. Wait, did he call dumplings? Alright, so he invented the light bulb. So I want you guys to read this by yourselves real quick in your head. It's just right here. Wait, I'm gonna stop you right here. Stop right there and start right here. Okay, go ahead, read it in your head.
Thomason.
He invented a light bulb.
I knew it. I'm done. He invented daytime.
Jagger. Wait. Bulbs. Alright, we're gonna look at me in 3, 2, 1.
Light bulb.
Boys. Okay, great. So I'm gonna read it again, just so we're all on the same page. Thomas Edison was born in 1847. He enjoyed science and inventing things. He wanted to invent things at an early age. Later in life, when he was an adult, he invented the vacuum bulb, which later became what we know today as a light bulb. What text structure is this story? We have dates, and it goes in order. And it's not sequence. Well, it is sequence, but what's another word for sequence? Richard, I'm calling 6 1 second. Leslie, what is it? What's not sequence? What's it called? What letter does it start with?
C.
Okay, what sound does it start with? You know the next one?
Chronological.
Say it. You just said it. Say it again.
Just say it.
Miss Jenny,
Chronological
you
order.
Chronological order.
Chronological order. Very good, Wesley. Yay, Wesley. Woo. All right, we are getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere.
Miss T.
All right, so we know the
High five.
boys. Jagger, Wesley. Okay, now we know the text structure of our story's chronological order. But we also know that here's my kind of made up timeline. Okay, can we see this? This is the front, this is the end.
Answers.
No, this is our timeline. I just kind of had to make a timeline. I couldn't make a timeline. So this is our timeline. So he was born in 1847. Liked science in elementary school. Liked to invent things that had immediate use, which means use right now, like a light bulb. Oh, I need that right now. 1868, he invented many electronical items. In 1869, he made the invention factory. In 1878, he made the phonograph, which is kind of like a phone.
Yeah.
And in 1879, he invented the vacuum bulb, which is also electric. So,
What's a vacuum bulb?
Why is there
A light
lines?
Well, that's kind of like to separate the time. So remember in our
Well, why did you not do like commas? So like.
because it'd be a lot harder to see. So kind of have like lines right here. I wanted to separate the time. So this is separating the time, these lines. So we did the text structure. So Thomas Edison, we said they invented the light bulb. Did he just wake up in kindergarten and invent the light bulb?
No.
Well, that's what it says in the story. Who can tell us where we should look to find new information that contributes to the story?
1,840.
Jagger, you're screaming out loud. Charles, where should we look? Where should we look to find new information to help our story? In the timeline. What? Charles, I don't know how you do it. Too smart for me. All right. So, who can tell us what new information the timeline adds to help us understand how we got from being born in 1847 to making a light bulb? Who could tell us? Who could tell us from the timeline? Which detail from the timeline helps you contribute to the story? Give everybody a second. Look at the timeline. Look at the story. How does the timeline help you understand our story?
Can I get my water bottle?
In a second.
Okay.
Parker?
That he was born in 1847.
Say that again. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
That Thomas
Edison?
Edison was born in 1847.
Okay, so that's kind of. So we're going to talk about how he got to inventing the light bulb. Which detail helps you understand how he got to the light bulb? Wesley, why are you sitting over there? Get your water and come back up.
He invented at an early age.
Put it back.
He like to invent at an early age. So we're looking at the timeline right now. Michael, how does our timeline information help the story? Michael, where are you? There you are. How does the timeline help our story? Which detail from the timeline helps our story? Just like Rosa Parks.
Because it adds stuff to it.
Yep, which detail adds stuff to it? Which detail kind of helps us understand how he got from being born,
Like 1879 and
1869?
1869, yeah.
What did he do?
Yeah. He made the invention factory.
Yeah, so he made the invention factory. So we know that later in life, he liked to invent things. So he made an invention factory. That's really, that helps me understand, right? Does it help you understand why he made the light bulb?
Because he
Yeah.
had an invention factory.
Jagger, what else? How else does the timeline add to our story? Which detail? So we know that he made the invention factory. We're going how he was born to making a light bulb. We know that he made the invention factory. Which other detail helps us? We're taking them from the timeline into the story. Which detail helps us understand why he made the light bulb? He made an invention factory. What else did he do?
He made a light bulb.
He made a light bulb. Which detail helps us? Let's see. Elizabeth, can you help us out, please? Can you help us out, Elizabeth? Okay, raise your hand. Which detail helps us understand which detail? In the timeline. So we're looking at in this timeline. Okay? In the timeline. Which detail helps us understand how we got from being born to making a light bulb?
It says the date like 1847 and
Which detail in the timeline? We know that he made the invention factory.
it says the date, the year, like the year.
Okay, so remember in Rosa Parks, right here, remember we said she didn't just wake up one day?
Yeah, and it even says up there like 19.
Okay, yeah, but remember in this timeline, we said she didn't just make, she didn't just change her seat in kindergarten. She had to do all these things. She joined her group, and then she married this guy, so now she's an adult, and it helped us understand how she got there.
And it also says at the time like 19.
Okay, so how does this timeline help us understand how we got from being born to making a light bulb? Which detail?
It shows stop.
Okay, so in this one we said she didn't just wake up one day and change the laws. She had to be born, she had to become an adult, then she had to join this group that helps people, and then she did the bus thing, and then she changed the laws. Okay, so she didn't just wake up. She was born, became an adult, joined the rights group, and then she did the bus. Okay, so we have he was born, and then at the end we have made a light bulb. How do we get from one place to another? How do we get from he was born to making a light bulb? Which part in our timeline helps us understand that?
Because it said like 1879 and like 1869, like it shows like the time it's been kind of.
Okay, so yeah, so the time, which detail in the timeline? Let me help you out. So right here, we said that he made the invention factory. That helps me understand how he got to a timeline, to a light bulb, because he likes to invent things. Also right here it says he invented many electrical items. Oh, a light bulb was electric, right? So that it helps me understand how he got from being born in 1847 to making a light bulb. One more thing. Who could tell me that one last thing? How did he get from being born to making a light bulb? We have that he invented electronic items and he made the invention factory. Go ahead.
1878 made
There's no 1878.
the. There's an 1878.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. I got looking wrong.
He made the phonograph.
He made the phonograph. That's an electrical item, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that a part of what we're talking about? He makes electrical items. He likes to invent things. Doesn't that timeline help us understand that? Did we read that in here? We read it in the timeline? So the timeline helping us contribute information to the story? Great job. One more. One second, one more. Michael, and you're gonna get on the book for you because you're getting this real quick. Where are you? Here, you for looking at the timeline, you for looking at the timeline. You're looking at the timeline and they're giving me an answer. One more, I see one more.
In 1879, he invented
The vacuum bulb. Okay, so good. He invented a vacuum bulb. That's the end. So how did we get there? It's a light bulb. We just said that in our story.
Why does it have to word valve?
Vacuum bulb, which later became the light bulb we know today.
making a phonograph. He likes science and elementary.
Very good. He likes science in elementary school. You guys, one more. That was a good one. One more. So that helps us understand why he liked to invent things, because he likes science.
Can you enlarge it?
Like
No, what?
to invent
Yeah.
things that had
better?
like to invent things that had
Yep, say it. Immediate.
immediate
Usage. So great. She just said that he invented things that had immediate usage. That really tells us how he got to the end. He liked to invent things that had immediate usage. He liked science in elementary school. He liked inventing things. He invented many electronic items. This helps me understand how he didn't just wake up one day and make a light bulb. We know that he had to be born. We know he had to like science, because science is part of inventing things. We know he liked to invent things that had immediate usage, like the light bulb. You could just turn it on. I could use it right now. I could use it right now.
Dude,
He invented many electronic items, such as a light bulb. He made the invention factory. He made a whole big room for inventing things because he liked to invent things. Then he made the phonograph, which is kind of like a phone. So is that our learning target right here?
yeah,
Did we talk about how the timeline contributes to the story?
yeah,
Did you guys understand that now better now?
yeah.
Okay, so we talked about how the timeline. We're looking at the tower because we're gonna do one more. We're gonna do it together by ourselves. How does the timeline help you understand the story? So we're looking at the story information, like we did in Rosa Parks. I'm gonna go back to Rosa Parks. Enlarge it real quick. So we talked about our story. We had very little detail in there, and we said, okay, she didn't just wake up one day and change the buses. We had to say she was born, so that makes sense. She had to be born. She couldn't just do it if she didn't exist. Then she had to be an adult because she marries him. We said that's 20 years different. Then she had to join this group that helps people get equal rights. And then and then 10 years later, so she worked really hard. She even became secretary, which is a really high position. She became secretary. And then she refused to move the bus. And then and then they got changed. And then she even got an award because of all her information. And then this one, it says, how did you invent a light bulb? He liked science, liked to invent things that had immediate usage, invented many electrical items, made the invention factory, and made the phonograph, which is like a phone. Okay, now we're gonna do my story, a story about my life. Go back to your seats, I'm gonna explain it to you. I'm gonna hand it out and explain it to you.
Story of my life.
This is the story of my life.
His life.